Today's video, we've got a few modifications we're going to be doing on the 32. And first modification I want to show you guys real quick are these silver pedals. And all of you guys know, these look so great in the interior. Currently mine is black. I want to show you guys mine real quick. Pretty basic. So we're going to be switching that out. And I'll show you guys the before and after. Well, pretty much the after, because you guys are looking at what's in there right now. And the other modifications we're going to be doing next would be stud conversion. So I'll explain why I'm going with this and no longer using the stock bolts. I'll show you guys exactly how to install this. I'll give you the specs and all that. So these bolts, most of them come 19 millimeters. It's hard to find a 17 millimeter because stock bolts are 17 millimeter, but these are 19 millimeters. You would want to go with a 12 by 1.5 for the bolts. Now the studs, I went with a 57 millimeter. You can go longer, but a 57 millimeter withstands spacers all the way up to 10 millimeters. So this would be great for using a 10 millimeter. The specs for the studs, you want to go with a 12 by 1.5. 1.5 is pretty much standard for the W203s. I know for SUVs, I don't know if it's actually for other sedans, but SUVs are 14 by 1.5. Stay away from the 14 by 1.5 if yours requires a 12 by 1.5 millimeter. So I went with a 57. I went with this because probably most likely be going with 10 millimeter in the front. Maybe not, but for the rear, you guys, from the last video, if you guys haven't seen, I did install aftermarket wheels on there. And 15 millimeter was rubbing, and I did put a 12 millimeter on there. It was still rubbing. I might go with a 10 or just go without a 10. Since I got those studs, you could still use them. It doesn't really matter. It's just that the bolt will just go, will probably stick out a little bit more, which is fine. Honestly, these wheels right here, they look like the Mercedes wheels. They go all the way deep. You can't really tell that this will be poking out, but if they do poke out, they kind of look cool as well. That's pretty much the specs for this. If you don't go with a spacer, you can go, I believe, a 44 millimeter on these. I'm not sure if you can go any shorter than that, but that's what you would need. Other few items you would need for this would be this guy right here. Just look for thread locker red, high strength. That's all you need. And we will be applying that to the end of the stud right here. Do not apply it on the longer portion, just on the shorter portion here. And there's one more item. I can't find it right now, but I'll show you guys real quick. You guys are gonna need wire brushes. This I picked up at AutoZone. You can pick it up at Advanced Auto or O'Reilly's, and you would need brake cleaner. The reason why I got this is because you wanna go ahead and clean the insides of your bolts, where the bolts go in. So you wanna get it really nice and clean for the new studs and for the thread locker as well, so it applies perfectly. One thing I forgot to mention, you're gonna need a torque wrench and a T30 to tighten the studs. Because if you look in here, you see it's got a T30 insert right there. You wanna tighten that to 20 Newton meters, which is about, I'm not sure what the feet is, but feet you can do, so 20, maybe that's about 17 foot-pounds of torque, but I'll probably end up going 20. Alright guys, so I decided to go with a 10 millimeter spacer in the rear. I want to show you guys how it looks like after we put on the new pedals. I think it looks pretty good. I would have to test it out, go for a drive, see if it rubs. If it does, then we'll go ahead and take it off. But I think if we take it off, it would still look pretty good. Yeah, let's go ahead and change these out real quick. These are actually not bad to change out. I believe, let's see. So these, you pretty much just rip them off. It's just rubber. And it comes off. This is exactly how the other one looks like. Let me rip this off real quick. Guys, check it out. So if you're wanting to actually switch out the pedal, I realize it's actually kind of hard to get off. Honestly, I don't want to take off the pedal because that would just be too much work. So I'm thinking, here, let me just roll this real quick so I can show you guys what I'm dealing with. So I'm thinking of just cutting this so it just releases, because on the new pedal, check it out, it's already cut, and just slipping it right on it. But check it out, check out the brake and the parking brake. That looks so good. So that's what I'm gonna end up doing, cutting it. If you guys don't want to cut your OEM, then I don't know, you would have to figure something out. That looks so much better. All right, so let's check out the fitment on the rear. This is how it's looking. It's still pretty flush. I mean, tucks in a little bit, but that still looks pretty good. So I'm gonna rock with it. This is the other side as well. All right, guys, well, it's been about a month or so, and I just wanted to just ride on these studs for some time and then update you guys on this video how exactly they're working. And they are working great. I mean, since we did the install, actually, before you guys see the car, there's a few things I've done on it, so you guys don't be surprised. But I'll try not to give all of it away, because there will be an update video on the stuff that I've done to it. But I will go ahead and show you real quick the rear wheels. These studs are actually holding pretty good. If you look in there, that's how they look. They're not poking out too much. And I've got a few updates that I want to let you guys know as well. This is the front, just so you guys have an idea of how they look like. There are a few things that I didn't mention, that the reasons why I actually went with this route. One main thing is it cuts down the cost of whenever you switch out your wheels, spacers as well. Whenever you switch spacers, you go a thicker spacer or a smaller spacer, you have to spend money on new lug bolts. And the studs conversion, especially when you get the 90mm, that's like perfect, because you can run many different sizes of spacers on your car. Obviously, you guys saw I went with a 57mm on here, but I knew for sure I was just gonna stick with 10mm on this car, because I know that's perfect for it. I'm not gonna go anything crazier than that. If you go with 90mm, that would probably be the perfect thing you could do, because then you wouldn't have to worry about buying new studs in case like you went with 57 and you switch wheels later in the future, and those wheels, depending on the fitment, how you want it to look on the car, how flush, you might have to go with a more aggressive spacer, which you know, the 57 can withstand up to a 10mm spacer, but the 90, you can go anything, you know, from 5 to, I want to say probably like 20. I don't know if 25 might be pushing it, but 20 would probably be the most you can go. That's the whole reason why I decided to go with the studs, because they're just so much cheaper. Once you know, buy these studs, you don't have to buy bolts trying to figure out the size, especially for the rear. This is really important. The brake shoe in there, if you go a little too long on bolts, they actually touch the inner portion of the what do you call it, the emergency brake shoe. So your car won't be able to move at all. Trust me, I've been there. And it's a nightmare. Pretty much the main reason why I went with the studs, it's just cost efficient, rather than always having to buy new lug nuts just to fit a specific size of spacer, or just to make sure you can clear the emergency brake on the rear wheel. The fronts, you don't really have to worry about getting super long bolts. It's just the rear that you have to worry about it. But anyways, if you're going stud, like, you might as well just go on both ends, rather than going just on the rear and leaving the fronts as the way it is. Other Benz owners that have gone with this conversion, you know, some of them say it's easier to put the wheels on, and yes, it is a lot easier, especially if you go longer bolts, because you can just slap the wheel on it and it just holds, and you just tighten it on. With the lugs, you gotta kind of play around with, you know, moving the wheels to try and figure out where the hole is, if you guys know what I mean, in order to put the first bolt in. Well, hopefully at least this video gives you an idea of why, you know, some Benz owners, even BMWs, will go stud conversion. And it's a lot cost effective, especially when you're putting on different wheels, spacers. You don't have to worry about measuring the lug bolt and trying to figure out which size you actually want or need with your spacer, because you have to buy the spacer and the bolts. So that's mainly the whole reason I went with the stud conversion. If you guys picked up something on this video, definitely go ahead and smash the like button, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, take care.